Okay, so Ian, this is the second time you've been. What issues can you remember that we spoke about last time?
Breathing was a big one.
Yeah.
So bubble, bubble, breathe, bubble, bubble, breathe.
Holding your breath.
Yeah, sink down drills.
Yeah.
I haven't done lots of those, but I'm more conscious of the breathing.
Okay.
I still breathe primarily to the one side, but
Yeah.
I have improved bilateral.
Okay.
But I find if I do too much bilateral, I tend to lose the technique more.
Sure.
And a little bit of crossing over the centre line as well.
Yeah.
Leg kick wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But occasionally it drifts into the knees rather than from the knee.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to look at this, and those things are all going to be fixed. Okay. Well, let's play it through, and we'll see what the difference is. And like I say, I've got your other footage on here, so we should be able to compare the two.
I think the technique's probably got a bit better. It's just the speed doesn't seem to pick up much.
Okay. Okay. And how often are you swimming at the moment?
3 times a week at least. But some of that's down to swim fitness at the moment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've obviously been out for a while with your wrist. How's that at the moment?
All right now.
Is it completely all right? You're not having it. You've got no.
That one I occasionally get pain on the catching the ball. But nothing that's noticeable.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So as
the one
far
that was actually broken is fine.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Well, that's good news then. All right. Well, let's play it through. And this is going to be relevant to you, Jan, particularly on the breathing side of it, the head position.
Yeah.
When we look at stroke correction, there's like a hierarchy that we follow. So there's a sequence of correction sequence, if you like. And the reason we do that is because we look at some things that you might think are a fault are actually an effect of a fault further along the chain. So we have to look at the stroke in sequence because, for example, if we fix the head position, we may bring the legs up. So you may think, I need to fix my legs. In actual fact, you don't need to fix your legs, you need to fix your head. That will automatically fix your legs. So we start by looking at breathing and head position. And this is going to be a big one for you. And that's why you're kind of a bit of a fan of the pool boy. So that's what we'll look at straight away. And Ian obviously has mentioned there that the last time he came, that was one of the things that was picked up was the holding of the breath and the head position and things like that. So let's just play this through. So what I'm looking at first of all then is from the side view. This is a good angle.
Yeah, sorry, rotation was for the last time.
Okay, yeah. From this angle, the main thing we look at is the recovery of the arms. And really the first thing I look for is the head position. Now, you've got a nice low head position now. When the head stays low, we have a bow wave forming. And we'll see this more on the way back. The bow wave actually creates a little trough on the side here. And it allows you to breathe into that trough without lifting your head too high. It's only if you keep your head still, that bow wave remains. If you start moving your head around, it gets wiped out, which means you have to lift your head even higher.
Okay. Otherwise you get a mouthful of water.
Otherwise you get a mouthful of water. And you can see that nice bow wave, and you see it kind of drops below the actual surface of the water, and then it comes back up. So that's looking good, that. Good head position. What you're doing with your arms here is a little bit, is you're starting to lead with the hands a little bit. So in your stroke, what you should do really is you should rotate, and then the arm kind of swings through when the elbow is at the highest point almost. Yeah, if you bring the arm up and start bring the hand forward too soon, it's normally to do with rotation again. What happens is you enter the water very flat, and you don't, because what we want is we want this hand and arm to be a paddle. So we want to spear in and push back. We don't want to push down, come in flat and push down. And this is normally a precursor to that kind of thing happening. Although you're spearing in there, we'll have a look at that in a minute. You're spearing in with the hand nicely there.
I think there might be a pause between putting it in and coming back.
Yeah, yeah. And we can just see there your elbow's kind of dropping down a little bit, but we'll see that better from the other side. So head position's good in terms of the depth within the water. You're not lifting your head. This bubble will go in a minute. I saw that on the recording. There we go.
I wish that was my video.
Yours is all right. It's all right.
It's a good job I don't take myself too seriously. I'll
It's
tell
quite
you.
low down, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just having. I'm going to have a look on the way back. It's probably going to be clear on the way back. I want to see you breathe. Really, is what I'm looking at first of all. That's good. Nice and low. You could get your head a little bit lower than that still.
Yeah.
Because your whole mouth is clear. What we have is we call Popeye breathing, where you can put your mouth over to one side just to give yourself an extra little bit of space. And that allows you to keep your head lower in the water. But that's pretty good, Ian, to be fair. That's pretty good.
That's why I tend to keep going, flicking back to the left, because when I do it on the right, it's more uncomfortable
Yeah.
to keep the head low and still keep the breathing going.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's get back into the water here. I'm trying to see if you're holding your breath. You're breathing out there, breathing out there. So we're taking a breath.
Still feel when I come out of the water, I'm still breathing out then quickly in.
Breathing out, yeah. Yeah, I'll come on to the arms in a second, but we're taking a breath. So what we want to be seeing is almost a constant, steady exhalation of bubbles. There's nothing coming out yet, so you're holding your breath at this point.
Yeah.
You're also looking quite a long way forward. So you're looking. It's different, yeah. It's different people need to look in different places depending on where their legs and what their body position is like in the water. If you've got a super buoyant body, you can actually afford to look further forward because you actually want your legs to be a bit lower. Your body position is actually pretty good there. Yeah, it is. It is pretty good. That it's not too bad. Right, so we're still holding our breath. We're still holding our breath. We're still holding our breath, and then we're starting to breathe out there.
So it's good 2 strokes before I breathe.
Yeah, yeah. So you breathe out a little bit, and then you're stopping again, and then you're going, right, I'm just about to breathe.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it all out. So you're still not doing a full exhalation. And we seem to, some people might think we make a big deal about this, but if you think about if you're fully exhaled, when you turn to take the breath, you've got all that extra time to get that air in. And it also reduces the kind of, like you were talking about before actually, the build up of CO2 makes you feel kind of anxious and stressed in the water. And also what it does, of course, is it causes the chest to kind of float upwards and the legs to sink a little bit. But your legs are pretty good. So we're not too worried about that. We do need to tune up this exhalation though. People don't like doing sink downs because it seems a bit Mickey Mouse. But in a small environment like this, it is really good exercise to go through to train yourself to exhale. So at the moment, head position's all right. It's not too bad. I don't think it's a major concern. We need to work on exhaling a little bit. Now, the main thing for me at the moment is what your arms are doing, so you're catch and pull through. Okay?
You see that right arm's pushing down.
Yeah. So, if I show you... Let's go into the water actually. Try and find an under the water clip. There we go. We're going the opposite way around, but that's fine. There we go. You and John O'Van Hazel separated at birth, look. So, we just run this through in the same way. So, come on, computer. Right, so he rotates to take a breath. The arm is nice and straight and high in front of him. When you take a breath here. Wind it back to where you're taking a breath somewhere. There, so you're taking a breath at that point. Typically there's bubbles in the way. Just roll it through. Breathe here, right? Okay, so you can see how rotated he is in comparison to you.
Yeah.
You're flat in the water. He's if anything, he's more than 45 degrees in the water. All right, and that is causing this arm to come in quite flat, and it's pulling all these bubbles down here. So rotation is still an issue there. The rotation is important because it sets up the catch. It puts you in a position to get that good catch. If you're not setting the catch up well, by being in the right position in the water, and rotation we mean you should be rotating like you're on a spit around a central point to kind of 45 degrees both sides as you swim.
I've got one of those tech tops at Christmas, but I'm not using it because of my arm.
It'd be worth. I've got one in there. It'd be worth having a go with that. Yeah. And that would be good for you as well, actually. If you're not happy to breathe on the other side, it's normally because you're not rotating enough to the non-breathing side. So now, this is what we're looking at here. This is the main thing. We know we need to rotate more because we need to set the catch up better. But what's happening here is you're pushing down on the water. All right. If you look at Jono, he gets his elbow up, and he's actually immediately starts to push in a backwards direction. Whereas if you look at yourself, you push down. You push down and then you kind of whip in underneath the chest. Yeah.
The centre line. It should be on the rail, shouldn't I, going straight back?
Yeah, well I'll show you a different angle in a second. So the arm should be about, we'll show it here, look. So that's the kind of angle we should be looking at. So he's rotated flat as the other hand enters the water. So you've rotated flat as the other hand enters the water. That actually doesn't look too bad, but what you're actually doing is you're in the process of slipping backwards through the water. Because your elbow is leading that pull through. So in effect, what you're doing is you're kind of slipping back through the water. There is a certain amount of propulsion there, but your elbow is leading it. So that is kind of slipping. In reality, what we want to be doing is getting the hands down, and then this whole thing pushes back. So you've got the whole forearm pushing back through the water. And then obviously he finishes off with a push back at the end of the stroke there. You see that?
Yeah. So technical, isn't it, swimming? Really.
And this is one of the reasons we record it, because there's quite a lot of information to take in here. You can go away and you can analyse it, and a lot of this stuff is relevant to most swimmers. Yeah. And it's not until you see it on video that you can start to understand. That's why it's good to compare it to people like this. If I show you Rebecca Adlington, same thing. So she's incredible. A lot of this is to do with the flexibility in the shoulders as well. If you haven't got the flexibility, you won't be able to stretch out and get that high elbow and push. You just can't. People just haven't got the movement in the shoulder. She's got super flexibility here, which means she can get her elbow so high and then push the water back.
She's quite solid, isn't she, build-wise? She's not, what you'd think as being like an agile swimmer. She's quite a powerful, solid.
Yeah, I mean, swimmers aren't normally super lean, and she's got a decent amount of body fat on her. Yeah. But that doesn't really affect her. But she's super flexible, and that's a really good angle to see the catch. We'll have a look at you on the way back. So what you're doing here is because of the way you're rotating or not rotating in the water, you're not spearing into the water. And then if we have a look from above, I will give you the raw footage as well, so you do get the whole recording. Because I do jump around a bit when I'm kind of going through the footage.
Dave, can I just ask, when you send the footage through, will you do like bullet points what I need to work on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple stuff,
Yeah. It should be clear. It should be clear, and I'll send you a load of information and links and that kind of stuff as well. But no, I will try and make it as clear as possible for you. Now, what I'm looking at here is we talked about the rotation. That doesn't look too bad at that point. We just pushed off from the wall. Now,
It's become quite. I mean, it is there. It's not quite as flat as it used to be.
Yeah, yeah. Now what's happening here is because you're not leaving that front end, the lead hand here is not staying out front.
Yeah.
So you're not having the support from the leader hand, and you've got at that point you've got both hands by the head. Okay, so you don't have a supporting arm. So again, if you look at Rebecca, she turns to breathe. That arm is right out front. We want you to breathe. It's there at the moment, but at that point, the lead arm is gone. Okay, and that's because you lose the support and the lead arm, and then the legs start to split.
So how long should it be out there for?
I'll show you. See if let me flip you here.
She almost pauses for a second, doesn't she? It's like a pause and then a pull.
Let's wait for it to breathe. In fact, I'll go back to it's a better one.
Quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a decent
balance right,
above
keep it out
view
there.
footage. Here we go. So he spears into the water, and this is a really good angle actually because it stays so straight. So you spear into the water, and what you're actually doing first of all is you're coming around, and that arm is kind of heading over that. Sorry, I did have a tendency to crash this thing. So you think all this technology is good, and then it's.
It lets you down.
What's happening is you're actually pulling through underneath your body,
Yeah.
and you're not because you're not rotating enough. I'll show you. Try here. Try to get a decent above. There we go. So that's when you should be rotating right forward. At the moment, when you rotate at that point, that's not too bad, but the arm has already started to collapse.
Yeah.
So he's rotated and his arm is still right out front. It's a subtle difference, but it does mean that you're losing that little bit of support at the front end here. If you watch what he does, he pulls through directly underneath the line of the body with this arm, and the recovering hand comes over the top and spears in straight. Your recovering hand is heading over in that direction, but again you're flat in the water here. So it's almost like a timing. It's a rotation thing, but it's the stroke timing as well, combined with it. Have you done the Unco drill before? The Unco drill is what they call the kind of the king of drills, if you like, because it targets so many different stroke faults, but it's quite a difficult drill to get to grips with. So we'll have a go at this in a little while. So with the fins on, it's a one-arm drill, but you breathe away from the stroke.
Right, okay.
So you wouldn't go straight to this. You'd do kicking on the side, 616, and then build up to the Unco drill. And what this does is it makes sure that you spear into the water, and it makes you practice on the timing of your rotation and breathing. If you don't rotate enough, you don't get the breath you need. If you don't get a good catch and pull through, you don't get the propulsion you need.
It's a good job you can do it with fins on.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. You definitely need the fins. All right? Yeah, good. Is it working?
I've lost the ability to swim.
Mark was in here a few weeks ago.
It's a nice pool, actually.
Yeah, it's alright, it's nice and quiet. Okay, so definitely so far in, we're looking at just a small point, sorting out the breathing. We need to work on your rotation and alignment again to make sure that we can set ourselves up for a good catch. Then what we need to do is we need to work on, and I think we did this last time, the propulsion phase, so the doggy paddle drill and sculling. Because what you're doing here is, and this is the importance of drills. You see Ian's pulling through very close to his chest here. That hand should be, bring in Rebecca again.
Is that when you kind of block it towards your body?
So it should be, here we go. That's the kind of angle we should be looking at. So it's about 120 degrees, between 100 and 120 degrees. Whereas Ian, you can see it's less than 90. Okay, and what that means is you're not getting the leverage from the big muscles, the chest and back, to pull through the water. If you're using weaker muscles like the shoulder, what happens is you'll slip through because you just don't have the strength and it can't generate the power to give you the propulsion.
Is that arm position? It's slow on his arm. I was thinking of rotation and breathing.
Yeah. A lot of these things are linked. So if we work on the rotation, it will improve your pull through, because your body will be in a different. If you look, she's actually not quite as rotated at that point. And this is back to your timing again. The timing of your stroke is just out a little bit. So your hands should ideally be below the line of your shoulder as she pulls through. And that's just to give you the maximum amount of kind of leverage with your stroke as you pull through.
And most power.
And most power, yeah. If you pull through straight, I mean, you're not really pulling through straight. You do have a decent bend in the arm there. But you can see that's actually not a bad position to be in. But the timing's just not quite right. So it's not too bad, but the timing of what's happening when is just not quite right. And that's things we can sort out with particularly with the Unco drill. Yeah, you see you're pulling through quite close underneath the body here. Some of it will be to do with the flexibility in your shoulders as well. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad there. It's the second it's almost like the second phase. You're okay at that point when you start to complete the stroke, because you haven't rotated enough. You should be rotating now.
Yeah, that is right.
Yeah, so she rotates as the arm goes past. You're just a little bit out of sync with that. So you're still flat, look. Still quite flat in the water.
Which I don't feel like I rotate at all after you've gone through all that.
Yeah.
I tend to rotate once I start to breathe out, don't I?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's the timing of when things are happening is not quite right.
Do these same rules apply, Dave, in open water?
You can adjust your stroke in open water. So it may well be that your cadence would increase a little bit, so the arm turnover. It doesn't pay to be like John O'Van Hazel is a pool swimmer. He's a pure pool swimmer, and he wouldn't do particularly well. He'd still be super fast compared to most people, but against people like the Brownlees and people like that, he wouldn't do particularly well, because you can't have a glidey stroke when you're in a lake with 50,000 other people. It just doesn't work. So you'd have a higher turnover in open water. You'd probably have a slightly higher head position, because obviously you need to sight, but you can get away with that because you've got a wetsuit on, which pulls you up anyway. So you can adapt your stroke to the open water. So, just so as you've got it on here. Give me that. That's wrong one. Oh no. Finger trouble today. Yes. So we're going to work on, we're going to have a go at the sink down, and this will be the same for yourself as well. And that's just getting you to completely exhale. I say it looks like a bit of a Mickey Mouse drill, but it is really good way of emphasising getting all that air out your lungs. It is quite hard. Some people just can't sink. And you see this guy, look, he's bobbing around, he can't get himself down, look. The girls, they're like stones. They can sink like stones. And it's important to have the capability of being able to get all that air out. Look.
The idea of that, John, is just to show you how much air you've got in, to give the importance of breathing out.
Yeah, and it's to train yourself to what it feels like to actually... Because a lot of people will breathe out the kind of the top third of their lungs. In, out, in, out. So they're leaving all that air in there. You need to get all of that air out so you clear out the CO2 in your system, so you're completely empty, so you can take a nice full breath in when you need to. And it leads you to be more relaxed, generally, in the stroke. So we'll do that. We're going to get you doing... Some of the drills are going to be the same as what you did last time, but it's worth doing. There's almost no point kind of moving on until we nail what we're trying to do now.
That's why I need to do it again, because that's last August.
Yeah.
Lots happened.
Yeah. I think when people come back, I feel a bit, if we do the same things again, I kind of feel like, you might feel like you haven't progressed. What I haven't done is looked at your old video, but well, I know it's going to be improved, particularly the head position and things from last time. But swimming is one of those things, you've got to chip away, just keep chipping away, and each time you come, it gets slightly better. There's no quick fixes, really.
No, it's like a small gain, I guess, isn't it, for quite a lot of work?
Yeah. So kicking on the side, and that really emphasises having that lead arm high in the water and turning to breathe, and that lead arm high staying when you breathe. As yourself, this will be relevant to you. When you turn to breathe, you push down, you lose the support. You've got to leave that arm, that lead arm there, and you'll see this when you sight in the open water. You've got to have that hand there to push down. That's what allows you to, gives you the you've got to have something to push on to lift your head up.
I'd never thought about it.
Otherwise, you've got to lift your head super high.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you lose all the stroke rhythm and the legs drop. All right. So if you can think about it, you think about that as a, if you've got almost as though you've got a wall there, and that's what gives you the something to push on.
Yeah. A stable base.
Yeah. So and then 616 again, just quickly so you've got it on here. Oh,
it's going to crash, you see. It doesn't want you to show you mine.
It's been doing this a lot lately. They keep on updating the software, and when they update it, it crashes even more. Sorry about this, guys. Try a different approach. Now, these are really important drills for you because what they do is obviously get the alignment, same as before, the lead arm staying high, but also it overemphasises the rotation. Because you're kicking, this is called the 616, so you kick on your side, take one full stroke, rotate completely onto the other side. And this is what's going to help you, is because it emphasises that rotation, right? And you've got to really nail that rotation.
Can you only do that if you're wearing flippers then?
Yeah, so you're going to need some fins.
I was going to say they're going to...
You know, when you do that one, I was pretty much side down.
Yep, completely on your side. You're completely on your side.
Wouldn't be on a
there you go, look.
Would be about 45
No.
degrees on a stroke.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to overemphasize something to get your body to kind of get the idea. You don't want to do that when you're swimming, but you do want to know what it feels like to fully rotate. And then we move on to, I won't show you 636 because it's just 3 strokes in the middle. And then you can see how you build into a full stroke because you kick on the side, 616, 636, 65, 65 strokes, and it becomes more closer to an actual full stroke. Yeah. But at each time you're making sure you're staying nice and straight and there's a full rotation there.
That rotation's amazing though, isn't it? Looking at that, I'm thinking, blimey, I'm just like that position.
It'll be really good for you. It'll be really good for you.
Blimey.
I've never known it cross this much. So again, kicking on the side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes back onto the side. You regain control.
Other than the obvious between 313, 616, 656, are you just adding in more strokes in between?
That's all this is
bring
doing.
It back into normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so you start off on the 313, which is sort of most extreme.
So you start off kicking on the side, and it's important that you get that position right. Yeah. Kicking on the side, and then you introduce 1 good full stroke onto the other side.
So eventually you're doing it.
And then 636, so 3 strokes, then 5 strokes. Yeah, so you should always try and build it back up to another stroke. And then what you do is normally swim. So normally swim, but try and maintain that rotation. You won't rotate fully, but you'll feel that rotation as you're swimming. Still with the fins on. Still with the fins on, so you can focus on what you're trying to do. All right. Now, the broken arrow drill we did in the squad. Again, it's just a variation on kicking on the side. So kicking on the side, you put one arm up in the air, and the idea of that is it opens up the chest. You rotate it again, and you're spearing in straight. You regain control. And this, you know, you said to you before about leading with your hand. You want that hand to be coming up and over the top. Okay, so really opening up the chest and the hands to be spearing into the water from that kind of angle, rather than spearing. See how it's spearing in straight past your head? Yeah. At quite a low angle. It needs to be coming in from higher. See, it's right over his head. Look, you were coming in. You're kind of spearing in down here. It's much further forward. Okay. So they're the main ones for you. And again, just so as you've got them on here, but we'll go through these anyway. Score number 1, which again we do through the squad. So we've moved on. We've speared into the water. We've practiced spearing into the water with our drills that we've shown you so far. So your hand is now in the correct position. What this drill does is gets you to feel what it's like at the front end of the stroke. Okay? And to continue, we don't want elbows dropping. We want to continue to have the hand ready to catch. Okay? So get yourself used to being in this position with the elbows high, ready to catch. Let's play that for a while so you've got that on here. And then finally, the doggy paddle drill is the next stage again. So you've practiced being in this position here, high elbow, doggy paddle, then practices you getting this catch right. His run to the ear was pulling through a little bit close, pulling through close to his chest. Then this will help practice. I think it goes into the water here. Yeah. This arm position underneath the water. Okay, so that's the position we want to be in. So we start to build up the component parts of what we need to work on within the stroke. Right. I think that's probably enough for now. Give people too much to work on, it just becomes a little bit of overload. I know this is quite long already, but
on those 4 strokes, is there any particular style of swimmer? I'm just thinking for the app, which one to follow in terms of training.
Yeah,
Is it an overglider or?
Well, you're not really overgliders. Classic overgliders will have a long pause and their elbows will drop, so you're not really doing that. You're kind of an Arnie overglider between the two. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't fit into any one particular category, and that's one of the problems with swim smooth categorisation is that people will look at it and go, oh, I don't fit any of those. So an Arnie overglider would be, and to be honest, a lot of the drills are the same, but I'll send you links to the fault fixer guides for each of those, and you'll see there's a lot of similarities. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to go through now. So I'll end this and start exporting this, and then we'll have a look at yours. A lot of the drills we do, because obviously I've seen your stroke already, are going to be fairly similar, but for slightly different reasons. Yeah. So if I start to, what am I doing?